Okay, so I'm really nervous about saying all of this. I thought really long and hard about doing this, but it's something that I have dealt with for 17 years, and I have lived with every single day for those 17 years. And for the most part, every single one of those days, I have felt guilty and ashamed of myself and my circumstances. I've let a lot of people dictate the decisions that I've made, and that I did make, but I decided to make this video, not so that people can sympathize with me or feel sorry for me, but because I know that there are so many women and girls out there that have been in my circumstance or are going through my circumstance, and we just are invisible. We don't get to have any feelings. So today, this video is about my adoption story. Not everybody knows. Most of my family doesn't even know. Only my really close friends and really close loved ones even know anything about this. Some of them may not be too happy that I'm doing this and publicizing it, but this is my story, and I don't need to feel ashamed or guilty about it anymore. The main reason being because I found my daughter. I'm really going to try hard not to cry through this. But I found my daughter. It was 17 years ago on August 25th that I gave birth to my second daughter. And I was barely 20 years old. And I had a 1.5, 2-year-old that had been very sick and had some serious medical issues. And I was young and I was scared. And I did not think that I could be the kind of mother that 2 little girls needed me to be. So after a lot of consideration and a lot of back and forth, I gave my daughter to a family that could love her and could be the kind of parents that I just couldn't be. It has been an extremely difficult process for me to let it go enough to where I could forgive myself for not being good enough. I have thought for years over the guilt that I didn't keep her, and wrestled with my feelings of being selfish and wishing that I had kept her. As I watched my other daughter grow, I thought of her all the time. And it has been immensely hard to not have her in my life. The one saving grace for me was that I knew that she went to a home where she was loved and she was taken care of. And I knew that eventually, one day, I would be able to find her again, and I would hope that I could tell her just how much she was loved and just how much I really did want her. But my circumstances at the time were just not appropriate for her. And that's not to say that my other daughter needed to go through them with me as well. But I knew that I had already begun raising her and that I could continue it. I just knew in my heart that if I kept both of them would suffer with being in a life or their mother was never around because she was constantly working. And I couldn't put both of my girls through that. I needed to make sure that I could at least be there for the one that I already had been raising, and give my other daughter the opportunity to have the kind of family where she could be a priority to them as well. I've never resented either one of my daughters. I love both of them, and they are both incredible. But I knew deep in my heart, as much as I wanted to keep my daughter, that it would have been selfish, and it would have only purely been because as a mom, you cannot imagine not being there for your child. But what I did was I was there for her in a different way. I was there for her in a way that meant that I couldn't be with her every day, but that I could still ensure her safety, her well-being, and that she could be loved. I'm making this today because, like I said, I managed to find her in one of the most strange ways. And I'm not going to really say how I did it just yet because everything's still unfolding. But I will tell you that I plan on continuing to video and also blog about my experience as I go through this process, because I want any women out there that are going through this to understand that you don't have to be alone in this. You don't have to feel ashamed about it, and it doesn't have to be a secret. I can't tell you how many times I've been asked over the course of the past 17 years how many kids I have, and how many times I've had to refrain from saying 2 so that I didn't have to go into a full-blown story of where my other daughter was, or get people giving me judgment for the fact that I didn't keep her. I think for myself in particular, because I already have a child, and then I gave her away, I wrestled with the guilt of not keeping her, but keeping her older sister. And I've wrestled with how she's going to react to that, and if she would think that it was just that she wasn't wanted. I really, truly hope that that's never going to be the case for her. I hope and I pray that she understands that only because I loved her, I did it. And only because I loved her sister. If I would have only been caring about myself, I would have kept her. And we would have struggled. And I probably would have been not a great mom, because I would have been tired beyond belief from working all the time. And I would have not had enough money to buy both of them their school supplies or their clothing or even food. And I think that emotionally and mentally I probably could have inflicted some damage on both of them, because I would have been angry and impatient and unable to cope with 2 of them, especially 2 that were so young. Of course, that wasn't either one of their faults, but I wasn't going to let my children go through the kind of childhood that I did with an angry and resentful parent. So I do know that she is very loved, and she is very well taken care of. I'm in the process now of trying to connect with her parents and talk to them to see about facilitating meeting her. If she even knows that she's adopted, I don't know. But I want to get to know her. It's a very strange situation because I'm her mom, but I'm not. She has a mom and she has a dad. But for me, I'm always going to have that connection to her. I hope and I pray that she wants to have something to do with me, but she may not. I don't know. And I have to be prepared for that. as a birth mother, unfortunately, you really don't have any rights in this situation after your decision is made. Even with open adoptions are purely based upon what the adoptive parents want. If they go into it wanting an open adoption and then change their mind at any time, they can. And you are at their mercy as to what you get from them and when. So that has always been a thing. You don't get to decide anything after you've given them your child. And as this goes along, of course, I have to consider my daughter's feelings, because I don't know what this is going to be like for her, and I have to be prepared for her being angry or for her not wanting anything to do with me at all. But I have to be able to be gentle with the fact that this deals with her, even though knowing where she is and knowing who she is makes me want to jump in my car and find her, drive to her, and tackle her with the biggest hug ever, because since the day that I let her go, I have not been able to not think about the day that I could hug her again. But I'm prepared to take the time that needs to be taken and let things unfold the way that they're supposed to. I do know that the way that things have gone have only gone that way because I have prayed for so long. And God finally answered. So for anybody who is going through this, and they're going through the immense grief and the guilt and the sadness and the shame, you just have to keep praying about it. Because even after 17 years, I finally got my answer. And I can tell you that it is a huge relief to me just knowing who she is and seeing how well she has grown up. And that right now for me is enough, as I continue to be patient and wait and see what happens. But as a birth mom, I can tell you that it is completely normal to feel everything that you're feeling, to feel the anger when you don't get the letters or you don't get the pictures, to feel the sadness when their birthday comes and you're not there. And they tell you that it'll get better over the years, and honestly, if anything, the grief compounds as they get older. I'm not gonna lie. You get better with realizing that it's the way that it is and you can't change it. But that little bit of pain's always there. You just have to not be ashamed. We're not in the 1950s anymore, people. This happens a lot. And the fact that you have to be ashamed of the fact that you did something for your child to better their life is a little bit ridiculous. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be a secret. If you had a child and you couldn't take care of that child and you chose to give that child life anyway instead of aborting it, and you gave it to a family who wanted a child but couldn't have one, that is the best thing ever, because you're giving them something that they've prayed for. And you're giving your child the opportunity to live a life and become a person without the environment that maybe wouldn't be the best thing for them. Being able to look yourself in the mirror and admit that you love your child, but maybe you're not the best person to be raising it, is one of the most single huge acts of bravery And I'm not just saying that because of myself, but when you are young and you think that you are everything and anything, to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm not the best thing for this child, is extremely hard to do. But it's also extremely brave. I don't believe for a second that there are women out there that do this and have no conscience over it. Letting your child go is like letting a piece of your heart leave you, and you may never know if you get it back. But we should be able to talk about our other children and to talk about the story and not feel shame. I still have trouble talking about it because I still feel bad, like I wasn't good enough or that I'm bad because I couldn't take care of my daughter. I'm actually a little afraid of how people will judge me and they will think that I'm a bad person. But I can't think that way anymore because when I do get to meet my daughter, I don't want to feel anything but happiness when I look at her. And I want to be able to tell her why I did this and not feel a single bit of shame over it. Because I know that I'm a good person. I know that you're a good person if you're doing this. I just knew that it would be best for both of my girls if they both got a chance to live a decent life. And I do believe that that has really happened for both of them. So, I guess for those of you that don't like this story, you don't have to look at it. You don't have to live it. And I really don't need your judgments. But if there is anybody that is watching this and you have gone through this or you are going to go through this, I want you to maybe follow what's going on. And I want you to get some hope that no matter how the situation ends, you did the right thing. Don't ever second guess that. I will probably be doing these videos once in a while, and hopefully those of you that it can help will follow. I hope to update you sometime soon on what is going on. I don't know how long it's going to take to get everything going, but I hope to one day share with all of you that I have some really awesome news and I finally get to meet my daughter. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate you not judging.